I want to bring Stewart Rhodes, Yale graduate with honors and a constitutional lawyer, worked for Congressman Ron Paul on the Hill, also Army paratrooper, retired from the Army when he got injured, great patriot, founder of Oath Keepers. He joined us. We're about to go to break in about 4 minutes, but you've heard my breakdown here. I wanted to get you on about more than a dozen states introducing legislation where all semi-auto is turned in, from a .22 up to a handgun. And now the urban warfare drills everywhere unannounced with police, with role players saying, I'm an American, I need food. So there's no doubt what this is for. The Army manual say it's for citizens. Stewart, and then meanwhile they have AP run in hundreds of publications saying, I'm crazy and discredited. Yeah, they're getting the bullets, but I shouldn't be upset. I mean, I don't think their propaganda is working anymore, Stewart. The military, the police I talk to, who the system is, wants to follow orders, is more awake than the general public. What is your basic analysis of what I've just broken down, Stewart Rhodes?
Well, yes, it's becoming very obvious to almost anybody with eyes. And so I'm actually in Reno right now at a huge gun show here in Reno. And everybody I talk to is more than aware of what's going on, and they see the big picture. And that's why there was, lines around the block to get in, and massive lines to buy ammunition. They're buying up everything they possibly can. And they're not just buying it because they think it might be banned. They're buying it because they think they might have to use it pretty soon. And so they really, almost every gun owner I spoke to is very concerned that this is for all the marbles, and we're heading for a civil war. And they're looking not just at the gun control legislation coming across at federal and state levels, but also, as you said, the pattern of DHS arming up and gearing up, buying 7,000 assault rifles for them, and they say it's for self-defense, but while saying they're not useful for self-defense for us. And so they see this, they see the hypocrisy, and frankly, this is an overstep on the part of the elite. They are really just kind of going from broke. Either they don't care what we think, or they underestimate the awareness of the average American. And so I think it's, frankly, it's a gift. It's waking up more Americans than ever before. And I was just in Albany for the big New York rally there of gun owners. About 3,000 gun owners got together, and they all chanted, "We will not comply."
Thank you for reminding me why I got you on, why we called you 3 days ago to get you on Sunday. There is a rebellion. Guys, get the Albany video. It's 5 minutes long already. I'm going to play that. There's just not enough time in the day. For those that don't know, gun shops, gun publications, they're saying, line in the sand, we're not turning it in. They're arresting vets and putting them in jail for clips over 10 mag. The line in the sand, like the Alamo, has been drawn. I got to commend folks in New York. They're actually going public with their names saying 1776. You were just there. What is the spirit on the ground? Exactly that.
We led them in an oath renewal ceremony, and I read them parts of our pledge that we will not disarm. And quite a few of them are agreeing with that. In fact, I would say all 3,000 of the gun owners there agree with the stand, that they're just simply not going to comply. They're not going to register themselves or their weapons. They're not going to turn anything in. They're just going to totally nullify and refuse. And we had a current serving sheriff of Fulton County, Tom Laurie, got up and said, my county is a Malon Bay County. It's a come and take it county. That's what we encourage all of them to do is your county a come and take it county, or is it a bend over and take it county, is what I challenge the audience. And a lot of them shouted back, it's a come and take it county. And so they're very focused on resistance. They're not going to comply. And so what Cuomo has done is lit the match of a possible civil war within New York, not even national, just right there in New York State.
And they're going to brand as terrorist, but it's not going to work. I mean, these globalist collectivists think this is the Soviet Union, and they're just going to do this. They don't understand. All they've done is confirmed everything we've said, Stewart. My God, as you said, it is a gift. These tyrants just do not get it, do they?
No, they don't, unless they really want a civil war, So it's hard to say.
Gun dealers report shortages of ammunition. I can confirm that I pretty much got to shop online and pay double to triple premiums for ammo that I need. And I've been stocking up as well. But I mean, mainline calibers are sold out. Strange calibers are sold out. It's become amazing. And it's not just the government buying $1.7 billion. They're saying 1.6. That's old numbers. It's over 1.7 billion now, the last 14 months, fiscal year, last year and part of the year before. It is government buying it, driving up prices in 40 cal, 308, NATO, 223. But it's everything now. I mean, you can hardly buy bricks of 22 ammo that I always had as a kid because it was cheap and, my dad would buy it for me. I mean, it's all gone. If you want something, you're going to pay double at least. And everybody I talk to just says, we have a tyrannical government. We know the government's tyrannical. We know it's the Federal Reserve. We know they want to implode us like Europe. I mean, for those that are informed, they really get it. Now, those that aren't informed are even more delusional and more mindless. But later, Stewart, I've got a CNN clip I'm going to play. Stewart Rhodes, founder of Oath Keepers, with us, who was just up in New York where the rebellion is really forming. And, well, I'll get to that story later. The point is that I talk to people. They're not going along with this. For those that don't know, New Yorkers are saying we're not turning them in, and they're not. They've passed laws now where over a 10-round mag is a felony, and they're pulling people over to checkpoints and taking them to jail for it. And Cuomo just yelling and screaming, blaming gun owners for any problems. It's quite a spectacle, and I think their actions now actually coming for all semi-autos and now saying they want to ban even more, I think it's the shot heard around the world, Stewart Rhodes.
Yeah, potentially is. The big concern we have is that they may trigger an economic collapse and then blame the gun owners for the collapse because the stock market is right there in New York. So that could be what's up their sleeve is to use it as cover for the economic collapse. Who
developed that theory? Because that's actually one I've said, that they want to get a civil war going before they fully collapse things to blame the Civil War for the collapse.
Right. And blame gun owners in particular and blame us better.
Did you develop that idea? Because I think that's spot on.
Well, that's what my board thinks. So my guys on my board were talking about it, and that's what we think, that's what we would do if we were them. So we're, putting ourselves in the posture of the enemy. The best way to have political cover for demonizing gun owners is to blame them for an economic collapse. And then during the collapse, you can crack down on them. And you can say, it's all their fault. It's all their fault. The reason why the food trucks can't get through is because of these extremists who refuse to let them through and are fighting back, turn them in. So that's our big concern. That's why we're really focused on talking to the police and military about that scenario. So we like you've been talking about before, when you expose it, then you inoculate them against it. And one of the photos I just sent you guys is a bunch of cops from New York City, NYPD, who are Oath Keepers. They came to the rally, and they have the same mindset even in New York City, right at the heart of the beast. They're not going to comply. They're not going to enforce it. And they're arming up, too. And they know, everybody around them is starting to buy weapons. And this is inside New York City itself.
Well, we'll pull up that photo from Oath Keepers. Very, very exciting. We'll put it on TV for viewers. Also get it up on Infowars.com. I've been asking a lot of questions here, and I have a lot more I want to get to in some video clips and audio clips, Stuart. But what else is front and center in your scope right now?
Well, we're encouraging people to focus on their counties, and we're going to call it the Malama Bay County Project. And between now and April 19th, let's do a sprint, because things might kick off in April or May, whether it's an economic collapse or whether it's gun control that sparks a civil war. And so we're saying, look, by April 19th in your county, find out who's on what side. Your sheriff, your chief of police, your county commissioners, are they patriots or redcoats? Give them that deadline and tell them they have to make a public declaration on the side of the Constitution to be considered a patriot. If not, they'll be branded a redcoat. And so the focus is on what's going on in our own counties. And we want to see every gun owner and every veteran stand up shoulder to shoulder and pledge that they will not disarm, they will not comply, and then turn to their elected officials and say, we have decided where we are, we want to know where you are now. That's our focus, is on the counties.
Well, last count I saw, it's well over 100 sheriffs that have said, we're not going to take the guns. What's the point of disarming law-abiding citizens? The FBI's own crime statistics that they don't publicize, 49% drop in violent crime since 1991 because of gun ownership accelerating. I mean, they're in an all-out assault against guns because the gun culture is the beachhead on which we were going to rebuild the entire Bill of Rights and Constitution. Just as our country was founded when they tried to take the guns, it was being refounded in that. Do you concur with that analysis?
Absolutely. I mean, we're in the same long train of abuses pattern that the founders were in, and history is repeating itself. It was the final attempt to disarm them that compelled them to fight. But as I reminded the folks at the Albany rally on April 19, 1775, they were not just going for guns, they were also going for people. They were going for Sam Adams and John Hancock as the leaders of the resistance, and they were not going to get a jury trial. They'd been taken off to a military brig ship in Boston Harbor and left to rot. And the modern parallel, of course, is the NDAA. And that's why with Oath Keepers, that's why our first three orders we will not obey is: number one, we will not disarm the American people; number two, we will not use warrantless searches against the American people; and number three, we will not detain them as unlawful combatants. Those three go together in seamless harmony.
Well, that's another question. Many have said that they wouldn't kill myself or you or Ron Paul because they don't want to trigger a response. But what if the time comes when they want to trigger the response? They could use us as the canary in the coal mine. What's your mindset on what the response to that would be?
Hard to say. And this is the problem. This is very much like a parallel to April 19th. Any one of these things could be trigger events. You know, the detention of Brandon Robb, the Marine veteran, for mental health detention could have been a trigger event. And of course, the new law that Cuomo just crammed down the throats of New Yorkers contains a provision that would allow...
That's a mega trigger. When they try, because they bragged, as you know, it's in the State House video, good, we'll arrest you, gun owners. That's going to... Because the gun grabbers are so Soviet, so arrogant, so hateful, they're just begging for it. They're begging for it.
Well, there's a provision in there that allows the police to take someone's guns if they have reasonable suspicion that this person may be mentally unstable. So your average, just, you know, delegated down, not just a psychiatrist can do it, they can do that too, but even to your average beat cop, you look at you and go, well, I see that Alex Jones bumper sticker, that Ron Paul bumper sticker, I think this guy could be mentally unstable. And there you go, they take away your guns. And so when they start doing that to veterans and gun owners in New York, any one of those could be a flashpoint.
And by the way, the globalists know this. Anywhere they don't want a civil war, they know to be nice to people when they take over. They want to win hearts and minds. Everything they're doing is designed to get us to revolt. And I want to ask you when we come back, why is that? Why do the people in their ivory towers want a civil war with 160 million armed people? I mean, what is the game plan there? Because they're not going to win it unless we understand they're globalists who don't care if Obama gets thrown out. The crisis will implode things. They can buy it up. I want to tell the bankers, you're not going to get away with that. We know who did this. ProPur is introducing ProOne. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. This is the ProOne by ProPur. You wanted it, you got it. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It cuts out the acid derivative of fluoride. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. This is a revolution against the tyrants. They love putting the toxic acid base of fluoride into your water. They love the fact that it's an adjuvant supercharging the trace Prozac in the water and the hormones and the other chemicals. By cutting out fluoride, you cut out the turbocharger in all the poison being artificially introduced into your body. This is what I use. It's a win-win. You get a high-quality product at the lowest price. You support the InfoWar. Get your ProPur with the new ProOne filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. "90% of war is InfoWar. We use the truth. The globalists lose lies and deceit." Here is Dianne Feinstein, the senator, on what she plans to do with your guns.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein worked for more than a year to get the assault weapons bill passed in the face of ferocious opposition from the National Rifle Association. She says she got the best she could.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it. I could not do that. The votes weren't here.
Okay, but they don't want our guns. More than 14 states introduced bills to make you turn your guns in, and it looks like they've got the votes in multiple states, and they're going to start coming after and arresting gun owners. And a percentage are going to resist, and that will mean coffin nails to both groups, citizens and the police. Police, if they ordered you to go arrest Jews like Nazi Germany and take them to camps, would you do it? If they ordered you to put black people behind plows again, would you do it? This is unconstitutional. They can't pass a law putting our military under the UN, even though they've done it, by executive fiat. They can't pass a law to ship narcotics into the country, even though they do that. When is enough enough? I mean, this is a classic constitutional crisis. Constitutional lawyer, founder of Oath Keepers, Army veteran Stewart Rhodes, joins us. Now Greenspan's talking about total implosion of the economy as if he's not behind it, as if the globalists aren't behind it. Why do you think, that question I asked before the break before last, why do they want a civil war when for anybody who studied basic military history or can look at the numbers, they're not going to win a conventional war except if that's not their goal, if their goal is to wipe out the American government as well and the police for a second wave. Stewart Rhodes.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. It could be a two-part program. One, like I said before, is you demonize gun owners and blame them for the economic collapse. And then during the collapse, you maximize the amount of demonization. And you get more folks turn, you get people to be desperate and hungry, 3 weeks without food, and then you go to them and say, turn your guns in for food and turn your neighbors in who have guns to get more, more.
And that's credit. How the Soviets did it in the Eastern Bloc.
Right, exactly. So that's the, gaming it, looking at it from their perspective, that's their best chance of getting the maximum number of Americans to turn on the gun owners and the maximum number of police and military to go along with it, is to make it a nationwide Katrina where folks are really, truly desperate and hungry. That's why we've been beating the drums for people to get prepared in their counties and their towns, get squared away with food storage and commo and medical, get squared away so that you're not desperate, your neighbors are not desperate. So you can't just be a hide away, prepper, the sole prepper hiding away in your basement. That's not going to work. You got to have food for your neighbors. You got to get them to prep. So you take away that pretext and that excuse and that desperation.
And you've got to politically get really aggressive up front to shape the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. They're shaping the battlefield right now, and we need to do the same thing. That's why we need to make sure we're as strong as possible in our counties. And then we need, of course, to work on the military.
And by the way, you corrected me. When I said 100 sheriffs, I knew it was above 200. What's the latest number?
It's 300 and counting. So more and more piling on. And so the other shoe that might drop, though, is, as you said, if they really truly want a full-blown civil war, that Americans are killing each other in mass quantities and the military split and fighting each other, and then you have the Chinese or somebody else coming in.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Right. That's what we really worry is the big picture game plan.
Well, listen, I used to hear all this former Army brass, guys that were assigned to the Joint Chiefs and stuff, say this like 15 years ago. I'm like, come on. That's not going to happen, because there is a normalcy bias. I mean, even when I was somewhat informed 10 years ago, I couldn't believe this. Now, as you know, NLEO 9, 10, 11, they classified 12. The FEMA training drill, they had 15 different countries training to, quote, take on American extremists. The Mexican government, the Canadian, the Chinese, the EU. I mean, there is the Chinese listed to deal with American extremists. They're actually planning it. That is so crazy. And the Chinese government came out, as you know, in the People's Daily and said, Obama, wage your war. That's a quote on the gun owners. We will help. I mean, they're even in their papers going, we're ready, comrade. I mean, that is so Twilight Zone to have the People's Daily. That article we wrote, because Paul Watson's wife's Chinese, she saw it and we got it translated. That went viral. People were like, wow, the Chinese government says they're ready to help. I mean, it's
well, and this is where I think, they must believe that Americans are so vulnerable that they can get away with doing that, bringing in foreign troops, because nothing would drive Americans to the side of the patriot cause like doing that, like bringing in Chinese troops, for example. So it'd be like bringing the Hessians in back in the day of the founders. So, but maybe they think they get it all figured out. Maybe they really believe that we're so soft and fat and dumb and happy that they can get away with this. We'll see.
I'm sure you saw, for new listeners, we can pull up the articles. Did you see that a month ago when the Chinese government, People's Daily, was saying, wage war on gun owners, we're ready to help?
Yeah, I saw that.
See, I can't even believe that. It's so over the top. I mean, it should be immediately arrest Obama right there. I mean, it's done.
Well, like I said, we're in the long train of abuses stage, and one of the wisdoms of the founders is they maintain the moral high ground. I mean, there does come a Patrick Henry moment where you could say, why are we waiting? We have to resist now. There's like a sweet spot for revolution where you're gaining as much momentum as possible. You're not going to get any stronger if you wait too long. Then you become weaker. But I don't think we're quite there yet.
Oh, listen, I want to avert anything physical. I think the fact that they're trying to start something physical shows how weak they are.
Right. They're running out of time. And so, it's really interesting to see this. Everything's converging, and I think the window is short. That's why I told my guys, I said, look, plan in 3-month spurts, a sprint from now until April 19th, get as prepped as you possibly can. It's not just about getting your public officials to declare which side they're on. It's also about you, the veterans and gun owners, making sure which side you're on, and then getting prepped. You can't just be willing, you have to also be ready and able to resist. And so, focus on the full spectrum for preparation. And then if you get through that 3 months, nothing happens, well, then you just re-kick another 3-month sprint, work in 3-month sprints.
I agree with that plan. California cop, this is one of the police chiefs in Emeryville at a press conference with the Chris Dorner situation, blaming the Second Amendment, saying, quote, a gun is not a defensive weapon. Only police should have guns. Here is the outrageous clip.
One issue that always boggles my mind is that the idea that a gun is a defensive weapon. That is a myth. A gun is not a defensive weapon.
Stewart, what do you think of that bizarro statement?
Well, that's entirely wrong. Every police officer understands that they're not, judge, jury, and executioner. They're only supposed to use lethal force in defense of themselves or somebody else.
Yeah, it's all defensive.
Yeah, well, but of course, what this guy's really saying is taking the mask off and saying this is how they are starting to see things. But it's not lawfully correct. It's not how they're trained in the academy. But maybe he thinks that way.
What a nutball.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
All right, I didn't get to a lot of the news I wanted to cover today, but that's okay because we've been covering the big central issues of the economy and the attack on the Second Amendment. The fact that the establishment would go after the Second Amendment just shows you how desperate they are and how dangerous they are. I'll be on the radio 3 hours tomorrow, and I'll get to a lot of the news I haven't covered and whatever the latest news is tomorrow. Obviously, the websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv, Oathkeepers.org, a Stewart Rhodes excellent site. Over 300 sheriffs standing up saying they're not going to confiscate guns. Our biggest problem is this. You have a consortium of billionaires controlling trillions who are not free market, who are scapegoating all wealthy people for their crimes in an attempt to cause a cultural revolution they control through the media to destroy the middle class and knock out any competition to the elite, who are eugenicists as well, who want to target the giant mass of unwashed as they see them. And so, Stewart, that's my biggest threat assessment here, is that there is a knowledge gap. It's taken myself 20 years to learn what I know. You're a veteran yourself, constitutional lawyer, worked for Ron Paul. You've got a high data level because you spend all your time on this. I'm not elitist saying I know more than the average person. It's just that I don't think even people that are halfway dialed in really realize how real this is. We're not up here with rhetoric talking about all this. I mean, DHS, as we were sent by Homeland Security leakers 4 years ago, is saying all gun owners are terrorists. Well, now that's public. They're saying all veterans are the enemy. And you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense unless you're an outside takeover force. Who's going to resist? Veterans, libertarians, conservatives, constitutionalists, people that are willing to fight. They are fearing men who they know are not afraid to kill people or be killed. And then you got to ask, well, what is it that's so horrible that they're teaching police you will face veterans, there will be IED attacks, we are going to confiscate the guns, it's in the new Army field manuals. I mean, it's just so crazy because the program they've got might work if you and I and Ron Paul and countless others hadn't been active, myself for almost 2 decades and others. I mean, it's like they're running an attack program on us as if we don't exist when their mainstream media is already a shadow of us. I mean, I think they're drinking their own Kool-Aid, but that doesn't mean this is going to go well. My point is, this is a disaster. They're launching a sneak attack as if we're not fully awake, and we're fully awake and ready to go.
Yeah, well said. It's the same demonization campaign that you saw in Nazi Germany against the Jews, except that the parallel here would be if the Nazis were to demonize half of the German population. Those traditional Germans are a threat. This is what they're doing here. You see what I'm saying? They're
not going after 5% of the population. They're going after 60%.
Yeah, they're going after the heart and soul of America, traditional America.
They're going after 10 million combat veterans.
And their families. And all the gun owners, all the hunters. I mean, everyone who's ever grown up in the woods and hunting. And I know a guy who killed his elk in Montana at 960 yards. That's who they're going after. And there's guys like that all over the country. And long-standing traditional American families where everyone has served in the military. And so all these current serving guys, where do they think they come from? Their grandpas, their uncles, their dads are the targets that they'll be, told to go and fire upon. They're not going to do it. And so there's going to be a massive split within the U.S. military. And so I have to think that they're just overstepping. They're believing their own bull.
Well, remember Ron Silver, when the Clintons first got elected, the jets flew over. This was on record. He said, how dare them fly over the scum? And Hillary looked at him and said, that's our military now. I don't think these globalists, they understand sociology and things and anthropology and but they don't get. They're a bunch of chicken neck wimps, and they look at the military formations when they land in a helicopter and think they really command that. The truth is those aren't your jets. That's why they want to go to drones and things. That isn't your military, you little pieces of crap.
Well, that's why you saw in the inauguration parade, the Marines had the bolts of their rifles removed from the rifles.
Secretary of Defense won't go anywhere with the troops armed.
Yeah. Apparently, they don't trust them. And this is what's interesting about, like you were talking about the police officer who they interviewed saying that, guns are offensive weapons and they're not useful for self-defense. Then what a wimp he was. And you compare that to the sheriffs, like that one sheriff from Kentucky. That's a bad-looking dude.
Or the Milwaukee sheriff, all of them.
Yeah, I want to see what happens when they fight. It's going to be ridiculous. So, I really think they must have some bigger plan in mind to have us starve out. That's what they must be planning, is such chaos that Americans starve in mass numbers, and then they come in and mop up after that. That must be the plan, because otherwise this is not going to work.
It's a bunch of Soviet-style Marxist professors sitting around with unlimited monopoly banker money planning their little game. And the good part about this is they've screwed us, shipping our jobs, regulations, shutting us down. That's been the bad part. The good part now is they're getting into the physical drilling down and making us their slaves, and that's when the fight starts. I'm sorry. They're just so delusional, Stewart.
Yeah, in fact, I got contacted yesterday, in fact, by this guy, and I might just go ahead and disclose who he is. But he is doing an online Homeland Security class, and in the class, he was assigned by the professor to go find a current extremist and do a profile on them. So he calls me up out of the blue wanting to do a profile on me. And so I had him send me the criteria, this professor, and I'll send it to you guys, too.
This will be a big national story. Give it to us right now. What is it? What is it, like believes in the Founding Fathers, believes in the Second Amendment?
says in this course you will study the radical origins of the United States and how those origins shaped the current environment of extremism. And so they're basically like the SPLC has been doing.
They're pissing on George Washington. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what they have to do. So they're demonizing everyone who's a patriot, from George Washington all the way up to us. And it's just really bizarre to see this. And so, like I said, I think you're right. It's ivory tower, egghead Marxists who hate and loathe America. And now this is their wet dream of being able to teach all these police officers and military guys. And it turns out this guy's a former military police officer. That's who this guy is. And he's taking this class. And so, I don't know if he's on their side or our side. I have no idea. But it's good. It's a good example, a good window into the brainwashing that's now.
Well, if you'll send that to Paul Watson, we'll give you some emails. We'll have a big article out on it in the morning. Headline: Marxist professor demonizes founding fathers to police. I mean, there you go. Yeah. We're ready to hit them and hit them hard.
It'll be fun.
But I mean, you're right. Look, we're not here looking for a war, but this is what you'd expect an occupying foreign group to do. Demonize liberties, demonize veterans, gun owners, demonize the Bill of Rights. I mean, that's the bad guy. Whoever demonizes this is the bad guy. I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's a good perspective, is they're behaving like a conquering, occupying enemy, but they haven't conquered us yet.
They're idiots. Look, they always overcalculate. Look, they always overreach historically. You taught history as well there at Princeton. Or was it Yale? I forget. Which university was it?
It was at Yale. I was an assistant professor. No, I assisted a professor teaching a class on U.S. military.
Absolutely. But let's expand on that as we close out the transmission here. You're talking to the military and police. You're at crowds of 3,000 plus people. We have the photo for viewers. You were at a major gun show. There was giant lines just to get to the ammo. Right. I mean, I think they have. I know they have totally miscalculated and fumbled. But they could pull a false flag. That's my closing question.
Absolutely. Well, interesting. I had a National Guardsman come up to me today, and we did a little video interview of him. He said that his platoon sergeant, this is California National Guard, his platoon sergeant told all of the guys in the platoon that the first one of them who tries to obey an order to disarm the American people, he said, the first of you MFers that tries that, I will shoot you myself. This is their platoon sergeant saying this. And so, this is in California. So there's already, like I said, a dividing line happening, and many in the military are so incensed about this gun disarmament thing that you get a platoon sergeant saying things like that to his men.
It's just so crazy because I talked to the establishment intelligentsia. They think they're in charge because they earned getting there. They were put there by the mega banks that have unlimited currency to carry out this criminal act. So the enemy has the fact that we accept their fake currency, so they've got the money power, but they don't have the people power. They've got a bunch of morons working for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. They think that once they've tricked themselves or tricked us into putting them in power, that after that they have some kind of a mandate. They can just do whatever they want, and they're in for a rude awakening. They're seeing it in New York right now.
Well, it could blow up any day. We pray for peace, but we prepare for war. I'll say bye to you at the end of the show, Stewart, to get those documents. We'll get an article out at Infowars.com tomorrow. See our latest article, Homeland Security buys 1.6 billion bullets, up at drudgereport.com. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.